Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped. Now, would you believe it? It is exactly 8 years ago today that I uploaded my very first video to YouTube. I'd watched YouTube for years, and as a car guy, always thought, I'd love to give that a go. So one day I went out and I bought myself a £200 Sony camcorder. I stood just over there with that car behind me, and I said these words for the very first time. Hi guys, welcome back to Petrol Ped. So today we're going to do an overview of my John Cooper Works Roadster, also known as Ruby, and she's going to be the star of quite a few of the videos on this blog. She's my baby. Okay, I'm not quite sure why I said welcome back to Petrol Ped, but since then many things have changed. A hobby has become a full-time job, but the one constant on the channel is the car behind me. My Mini Roadster R59 JCW, more lovingly known as Ruby Roadster. Now, it's been a long time since I've done any dedicated content with my Mini, but I thought I should probably do something about that. Yeah, I went back through my videos this morning and realized it is just over 2 years since I've done a dedicated video with the Mini. Although she's been in the background of other things and on socials, that's a long time. So big apologies for that, because really this car was the inspiration for me to do YouTube, and all I had access to in the early days were my own cars, Ruby Roadster and our Audi S4. And I built up a body of content, and then I started working with friends to film with their cars. I went to car dealers and eventually got big enough to work with manufacturers. But Ruby was always there in the background, and through that I built up quite a big Mini following. The car was completely stock when I filmed my first video. I can't believe I've actually owned this car for 9 years now. She's a 2014 Mini Roadster John Cooper Works. The code designator is R59 for this particular car. And it's still quite a rare car. I think they only registered something like 300 JCW Roadsters in the UK. Even today, when we drive it out and about, people still come up and don't know what it is. They did the Roadster and the Coupe for a very short period of time, maybe 2.5 years or so. And they were very Marmite. You either loved them, like me, or really didn't get on with them at all, thought they were almost a bastardization of Mini. But I've always loved the format of this car. Then the modification journey began. Started off by doing some mainly aesthetics things, so new wheels, dechrome, dropped a little bit on BC Racing coilovers. Then we went into the performance modification side of things with a Stage 2 tune. It's got a Quaife diff, a TTV Racing clutch. It's got Powerflex bushing. And that changed the characteristics of the car a great deal. And then the last big modification I did on the channel was I put all of this power and all this performance into the car. I then needed to uprate the braking, because the old stock brakes, on a track day, we started to run down both the discs and the pads, and the braking performance wasn't as good as it could be. So I went to Alcon and had a full set of basically the Mini Challenge race brakes put on it on the front and EBC brakes on the back. And that fundamentally changed the braking performance, that's for sure. You put your foot on the brake now and you're going to go through the windscreen. However, this journey of modifications, I've now come to realize that it is possible to over-modify a car. And that's the problem I have right now. I think I've gone a bit too far. She's a bit too hardcore, and as a result, we don't actually use her that much, don't drive her very much, and actually Tracy doesn't like driving her at all, because there's a couple of issues. Before we get on to the issues though, I have done some really cool things with this car. She's an absolute auto solo weapon. Amazing at auto solos, although I haven't had the opportunity to do an auto solo for quite a long time. But she really is small and nimble and darty, very agile, perfect for auto solos. I've done a good number of track days, but I think the proudest moment of this car was to be selected as one of the 60 Minis to be invited up to Mini Plant Oxford to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Mini. That was a very, very special day. She represented 2014 as a year and the Mini Roadster. And I will always treasure the memories of that day. But yes, where do we start in terms of mods? It's nothing too serious, but we just need a little bit of work to kind of maybe pare back the mods to just make her a little bit more of a daily car. The challenge was, as I was going through the modification journey, in my head I'm thinking to make more and more of a track-focused car. Really what I've always wanted to do is take something like an R53 or an R56 hatch, put a full cage in and have a dedicated track day car. I'd love to do that one day. And I kind of thought I could do that with the Roadster. Unfortunately, what happens when you do that is you affect what it's like to drive on the road on a day-to-day basis, and that's kind of what I've done really. Okay, first thing I want to try and take a look at are the brakes. Now these brakes are incredible. They're actually the last modification I did to the car, but they are proper racing brakes. Their sole purpose in life is to stop a racing car as fast as possible. Things like NVH, noise, vibration and harshness that you would find on road car brakes are not a worry for this particular brake caliper and rotor. And the problem with that is, unless they're really at operating temperature, they make a lot of squealing. I mean, we're talking a lot. And I didn't realize it would be quite as much. I always used to joke, in fact, I'm pretty sure I joked when I picked these brakes up from Alcon, oh, you know, it'd be great, they'll squeal like race car brakes. And that is funny for a short period of time, but on a daily basis car that you run to the shops and back, when you're pulling up to a set of traffic lights, they squeal a huge amount. And when you're really on the brakes, because of the grooves cut in them, there's like a noise there as well. And that's fine on a track day, but I don't really track this car anymore. And on the road, they're just too much. They're too much brake. There's quite a sharp bite to them as well. I have tried we changed the pad type. So originally I had fairly aggressive track pads in them from a company called Pagid. I then went to my mate Kevin at Sussex Road and Race, and we actually changed the pads over and we put a Mintex pad, a softer, more road-oriented pad in there, hoping that that would solve the problem. But sadly, it didn't. They still work brilliantly as a brake, but they still squeal a lot. And it just means that the enjoyment of driving the car isn't there on the road. So the plan is to revert back to the Brembo style brakes that were on the car from factory, and then keep these specifically for track day use, because this is the best example of over modifying a car. So first up, we're going to do some work with the brakes. I also did some cool things with this car during lockdown and my COVID-19 daily vlog, working with my mate Sam from SMPS 2012. I put the Union flag tail lights, the side repeaters, but when we dechromed the car, the headlamp and tail lamp surrounds and also the radiator surrounds and door handles, we actually wrapped those in black vinyl. And age is now starting to show a little bit, because that was quite a long time ago now. It's probably like 5 or 6 years ago. So they are starting to show their age. So I had a chat with Sam and he sent me a brand new set of proper plastic trim for both the radiator surrounds, the front and rear light surrounds and the door handles. So this is a perfect time, even though he sent me those so long ago. It's probably 9 months, maybe even a year ago. Massive sorry. Apologies to Sam for not fitting them up until this point. So that will just freshen up the outside a little bit. The other two issues I have with the car, I think it's easier if we go for a drive and I explain all. Because one of them's really annoying. Well, actually, they're both really annoying. You know, every time I get in this car and go for a drive, it puts a huge smile on my face. I still love it all these years after she first came into my life. But I am experiencing a few issues. really quite bad one, and I have had it looked at, but apparently it's just a thing, is I put BC Racing coilovers on the car. And what I did was lower the ride height significantly. I also put a bit of rake on the car, so it's much lower at the front than the rear. But the ride quality is pretty harsh, to be fair. And I have played with it and adjusted it and softened it off a few times. Not myself, I've had people do it for me. But it's still very, very firm. Which means living with the car on a day-to-day basis is quite hardcore. But I could probably live with it. However, these BC Racing coilovers have what apparently is quite a common problem, is that they're starting to knock. One on that side, front left in particular, almost sounds like the top mounts come off. And it's not, it's just how they are. And hardcore lovers of them just say, oh yeah, that's how they are. Well, that's not good enough for me, because it sounds awful. And I know now I've got the cameras rolling, I'm not going to be able to demonstrate it on camera, but it really is not a pleasant noise at all. So I am going to change out the suspension, dampers and springs. But the next issue is one that's been with the car for a while, and it's really quite annoying. Now this car came from factory with two modes. It has normal mode and then it has sport mode. But I haven't used sport mode for a long time, because when I got the map put on this car as part of the stage 2 tune, one of the things I wanted was slightly more pops and bangs. Unfortunately, the pop and bang map that I have on the car, let me put it into sport mode and I'll try and demonstrate, is a little bit annoying. It was funny for about a week. What I'll do is I'll just drop the window slightly, you'll be able to hear it a little bit better then. There we go, ready? And on overrun, yeah, it's just really dull, really annoying. I thought it was cool once, but I don't think it's cool anymore. What that basically means is I never run this car in sport mode, and sport mode has some nice benefits, because one of the things it does is it just firms up the steering a little bit, and it just gives a much nicer steering feel. And because of the map in the car, I never ever use sport mode, because it does that. And I'm 51, not 21. it's just too much. So for quite some time now I've wanted to remove that pop and bang out of the map, but it's not. I mean, every now and again on the way, I'm going to take it out of sport mode now. Yeah, so the plan. Notice, by the way, the brakes aren't squeaking. I think that's called Sod's Law. There's a massive flood near my house, and the whole brake system got very, very wet when I left the house. And although it's now up to temperature and warm, for some reason it's just not squealing, which is very unusual, because normally it squeals like a good one. Yeah, hear that? That's the squeak. Let me just slow the car up to this roundabout, shall we? Yeah, that's the problem. That's the squeak. All the time. So the plan, and this plan's pretty much been inspired by the work Darren and I have done together on Project PP, but Ruby's going to Mulgari for a bit of Darren magic. So I'm heading up there day after tomorrow, and we've got a number of things we're going to do. As mentioned, I'm going to take the Alcon brakes off and replace them with the equivalent of the brakes that would have come from factory. They're actually the same as the brakes we put on Project PP. It was when we were doing that, I kind of had a chat with Darren and thought, look, this is a no-brainer, I'm going to do this. We've had a chat with the legends at Bilstein, and they are helping us out with this project. So I'm going to get a set of Bilstein suspension. I will be talking about that in the next video. And then Darren's going to delve into the details of the map. Not only is he going to take the pops and bangs out, but he's also going to have a look at just the way the power and torque come in, just to make it as drivable as possible. And then we're going to fit the trim bits from SMPS 2012 and just a few other little bits, just to kind of freshen her up, give her a bit of love. But that will be the next video. But if you've enjoyed that, please give me a thumbs up. Put in the comments any other ideas of things you'd like me to do to Ruby Roadster. See, I'm not making it up, they do squeak. But yeah, the next video, and it's amazing the journey this car's come on, and now we are knocking on the door of 200,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to Petrol Ped, please hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything at all, and we'll look forward to some more adventures this year with this car, and I can't wait to have her back in a state where Tracy likes to drive her again, because she's such good fun to drive. But at the moment, with squeaky brakes and that and a knocking suspension, she's not much fun at the moment, but she will be by the time Darren's worked his magic. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed that, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come, and I'll see you on the next